35 years ago. It was like two of us, and all the men would do so many dick jokes that by the time you got up there, you didn't even want to hold this thing. I knew Diane looked familiar from somewhere, and we actually met in the bathroom. She's still doing that thing where she pops up under the But actually, I haven't done stand-up in 20 years, and so I was very heartened when Kevin asked me to come and tell a story, because I actually no longer do stand-up, but I love the idea of telling a story and trying to pass on something that I learned, except for usually by the time you're my age and you try and tell younger women things that it took you, 30 years to learn, or like, la, 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 and you're just sort of the old lady across the hall with the cat. So it's nice to be here, because I am going to tell a story about 20 years ago, because I used to actually only date men half my age who didn't speak English. And well, I don't anymore. I mean, there was a stop to that, because the last one actually said to me, he had really wished he had met me 10 years ago. And I was like, Giovanni, you would have been, 16. And he said, yeah, but you must have really been something. So that's the kind of compliment you get once you're in your 50s. So just women, enjoy now, enjoy now. So that's what I wanted to talk about. I was trying to think about what I had learned from 20 years ago that I would want to share today. And the thing I think I miss most about childhood is playing games. I loved all games, board games, chess, everything. And about 20 years ago, I was at a dinner party. I was down in LA, I was doing stand-up, but it wasn't a showbiz dinner party. It was mostly UCLA professors. But one of the guests was John Lithgow. Do you know who he is? From Third Rock from the Sun and World According to Garp and whatever. And there were just 8 of us, and they didn't want couples to be paired. We were going to play Scattergories. And do you know this game? You roll like a 20-sided die. It comes up with a letter, and you have all these categories, and you have to come up with a kind of card that starts with B or whatever. And they said, we don't know how we're going to choose who's playing with who, but let's just do it by our birthdays. And I said, well, I'm October 18th, and John Lithgow goes, October 19th. So we were paired. And there were only 8 of us, and we sat down, they rolled the die, and it was things that started with M. And you have 30 seconds, and you come up, and if someone else has it, you have to cross it off or whatever. So the whole time we were doing, we were like, oh, you have the same birthday? And then it turned out we had gone to the same college, and we had all these things in common. He was about 10, 15 years ahead of me, and we're just chatting, half playing the game. It stops, and we suddenly realize we haven't filled in half of our sheet. So they start going around the table, and they said, I don't remember exactly what it was, but it was like things in the kitchen that start with M. And the first couple said mixer. And we didn't have anything, by the way. And the next couple said microwave. And John goes, oh, we had that, and crosses it off. And I'm sitting there, and I know we didn't have anything. And I'm going, did he just cheat? And we're playing the game, and I think he just cheated. And I'm waiting for him to laugh and go, no, we didn't have anything. So you guys get the point. But he doesn't say anything. And I start going, do I say something? I'm his partner. If I don't say something, am I cheating? And it's John Lithgow. I mean, it was just a very weird sort of situation. And I started getting very nervous, and I began to laugh. I just started laughing, and everybody kept going, what is so funny? And I was like, well, I want to tell what's coming, so. I didn't even know what to do or say. And I don't remember anything about the rest of the evening. I don't know how I got home. I don't know if he ever caught to it. I know nothing, except for the next 15 or 20 years, whenever John Lithgow's name would come up, I would go, you know, he cheated at Scattergories. And that's all I knew. Okay, so now fade forward 15 years. And I'm back at my college reunion. And it's a long story. I didn't have enough money to go. I forgot to earn money and whatever. So, and this was because, I mean, I was supposed to go to law school and I ended up running away to Greece, but that's the story for another night. And then falling into stand-up and whatever. And I was there by the grace of my classmates, and I get there, and it's a 5-day thing, and it's a big deal. It's the 25th reunion, and the first night I'm there, somebody comes up and says, you know, John Lithgow is giving the commencement speech tomorrow. And I'm like, he cheated at Scattergories. And I become obsessed. I'm thinking, here's my chance. I am going to find him, and I'm going to ask him, what was that about? And did you ever tell them? And you know, what really happened? But then they said he was going to be speaking at like 9 in the morning, and I, as most comics, get up at 11. And I thought, oh no. So, but 7 a.m. I am up, and I am ready to go, and I'm thinking, how am I going to run into him? What am I going to say? How am I going to bring this up? And you know, I don't want to, but I decide I'm going to go at least in and watch the speech. And so we all go marching in, and this woman comes up to me, and she says, I'm with a bunch of classmates, and she goes, are you from the class of 80? And you know, we all have our sweatshirts on and our umbrella and everything. And I say yes. And she goes, well, you know, we're honoring your class this year. We have 10 spaces up on the dais. We would like you to join us. So now the next thing I know, I'm sitting up on the dais, and I'm with all the people getting the honorary degrees. And this was at Harvard, and there was like, I mean, when I graduated, I think Mother Teresa spoke, and some king of Spain. And this year it was John Lithgow, who had cheated. And the motto at Harvard is Veritas. You know, it's like truth, right? So I'm thinking, well, what if he gets up there and says, be true, you know, follow your thing? Like, do I object? Do I say so I'm sitting up there, and he gets up, and they've introduced him as the only person who's ever won an Emmy, an Oscar, a Grammy, a Tony. I mean, this man had done a spoken word record. He was like, he was everywhere, and he's up there saying, be creative. And he was like singing a song about a manatee. And people were like, he was getting encores, and I'm like, I'm going to say something. So afterward, and there's like 20,000 people there, and it's over. We're going down the stairs. I'm now right next to him, and I look at him, and I lose my nerve. I completely lose my nerve because I think, what if the security guards come and take me away? What if they say, you know, you have never even earned a year's worth of tuition in 20 years, you know, we're revoking your diploma, you know, whatever. I just, and I'm thinking, oh, it's his big day, you know, whatever, and I say nothing. I fly back to California, and I am furious with myself, because I think, there's my only chance. When am I going to ever see John Lithgow? And I start calling the people that were at the dinner party, whom I haven't spoken to in 15 years. None of them have any memory that any of this went on. They think I'm making the whole thing up. They start saying, you know, you really used to be something. And I'm thinking, okay, well, whatever. So, and I'm just, man, I think I'm never going to get any resolution to any of this. Well, just a couple of years ago, I was back in New York, and I was at Scrabble Club. I teach Scrabble. I'm very nerdy. And I'm at this Scrabble club, and we have to play with clocks, and it's a very intense sort of thing. And I look at the clock I'm playing again, and across the clock it says in big letters, Lithgow. So I turn to my young Asian opponent, and I say, is this your clock? And he says, no, it's that lady over there, Jeannie Lithgow. So I said, oh, okay. So we finished the game. I go up to her. She's a woman in her 60s, and I say to her, excuse me, Jeannie, I noticed on the clock it says Lithgow. Are you by any chance any relation to John Lithgow? And she goes, yeah, I'm his ex-wife. And I said, can I just ask you something? And she's kind of one of these women, I mean, she didn't have a drink in her hand and a cigarette, but she was kind of one of these like, yeah, you can ask me. And I said, well, about 20 years ago, I was at this dinner party with, I guess, your ex-husband and his then wife, and she's like, yeah, Mary. And I'm like, yeah, Mary. And I was coupled with John, and we were partners in a game of Scattergories. And she turned to me and she goes, and he cheated, didn't he? I said, why would you say that? And she goes, the man cheats at everything. If he were here tonight, he'd be hiding the cue. He cheated on me 7 times, and she starts getting all worked up, and I said, I'm so sorry, I just needed closure. I was wondering, I was like, have you ever thought of like changing? I only asked because I saw the name on the thing, it's, have you ever thought about changing your name back? And she's like, oh, honey, believe me, you get very good tables in New York. So the moral of the story is, don't cheat, because you never know who's going to be telling a story about you 20 years later.
Andrea Carla Michaels. John Lithgow haunted me in Harry and the Hendersons. Did you guys see that movie? It's amazing, but like the beginning, it falls out of the trees onto the car, and that, like, my family, I live in LA, but we grew up in Mission Viejo.